Hello guys, I am Paul McWhorter with toptechboy.com, and we are here today to learn Fusion 360 or die trying. So what I need you to do is go pour yourself a cup of coffee. I need you to fire up Fusion 360, and I need you to get ready to learn this software. What we are going to do today is we are going to design our first three-dimensional object. If you were here with us in lesson 1, what did we learn? We learned that the secret of success in Fusion 360 is becoming expert at our two-dimensional sketches. So we're going to be working in our two-dimensional sketches. We're going to learn some more tips and tricks for working on two-dimensional sketches. And then we are going to do our first extrusion to create this most excellent eyeglass container with a nice slip fit to protect our eyeglasses. The reason I like this is just a real simple little design that we can do fairly quickly. So what do we need to do to start a new design? We need to fire up 360. We need to come up here to File. We need to click on it and say New Design. Boom, we got a blank page to work on here. Where do we start? We start with a sketch. How do we go to Sketch? We click on Sketch. What do we want to draw? Well, what do you think that we would start with? That's kind of like a rectangle. So let's come down to Rectangle, 2-point rectangle. What is this nonsense? It is asking me what plane I want to draw it on. I'm a math teacher. I'm old school. Okay, I want to draw in the XY plane. To me, Z is for thickness and XY is where we draw. So X is red and Y is green, so we would click here on this plane, which is that plane between the red and the green. Boom! I have got a piece of graph paper and I'm ready to draw. Now we already have the rectangle tool because we did that to take us into Sketch, but if we didn't, we would just type R on the keyboard and it would give it to us. We come near the origin and then click once. We come out, click again. We now have a rectangle. The rectangle is in the right position, but it's the wrong dimension. So what do we do before we move on? We set the dimension. We are always mindful of what two things, and let me get out of your way, I'm sorry. What two things are we always mindful of? We are always mindful of dimension and position. This is in the right position, it's the wrong dimension. So how do we change the dimension? I type D on the keyboard, D, okay? And now it gives me the dimension tool. I then point at this line, I click once, I pull it up, and that does not look right, escape. I click D for dimension, I select this, okay, I pull it up, and then what do I tell it? I tell it the dimension. The dimension is 42, enter. Now, I have a rectangle. It's in the right position. One dimension is right. What do I need to do? I need to set the other dimension. How do I go to the dimension tool? I can type D on the keyboard. I could also come under here, under Sketch. I could come down to Sketch Dimension, click there. Now I have the dimension tool. What do? I point and click at this line. Point and click one time. Now I pull it out, and you see how I can move that around? Well, I kind of get it in a neat spot. I click again, and now what do? I tell it a dimension, 32. All right, what do I have now? I have a rectangle. It's in the right position, and it has the right dimension. This is the starting point of success. I'm mindful of position, and I'm mindful of dimension. All right. Now, let's think about this. I will zoom in here. How do I zoom? I zoom with the scroll wheel on the mouse, and so I'm going to zoom in to kind of get this nice and big where you can see it. All right, that should do it. I think I will move this down and move this closer, and that way I could kind of zoom in a little bit more, let you guys see it good. Now, would you want a glasses case with a sharp corner on it that might cut your thumb? No, you want it rounded. You want a nice rounded profile. So how would I round that profile? There's a tool under Sketch called Fillet. Some people might say fillet. I'm going to call it Fillet. So I'm going to choose this Fillet tool. Now what do I need to do? I need to tell it the first leg that I want to fillet. It's this one. And then I need to tell it the next leg I want to fillet, which is this one, and boom! It creates a nice rounded corner. Now if you look in this dialog box, it is asking me for the dimension. We don't have to dimension it yet. Let's go all the way around, and then we will dimension it as a last step. So now I am still in the Fillet tool, so I click on this leg, and this leg I click, and now I have a second rounded corner. Now I need to do the third corner. I point at this leg, I click, I point at this leg, I click. I have 3 rounded corners. Now I point at this leg, I click, I point at this leg, I click, boom, look at that. I have 4 rounded corners. Now it's still asking me for a size, and if I look at that profile, it's a little bit too rounded. It's becoming a little bit too oval. It says that it put an 8mm circle, a radius of 8mm on that curvature. That's a little bit too much. I'm going to try 4, and then I'm going to type enter, and then boom. That really looks nice to me. Okay, that looks nice to me. I am very happy with that, and I think that's a nice profile. All right, now we've got the base that we need to extrude from, but what we have to think is, how many profiles do we actually have? Well, we have the outside of the whole box, which is shown here. We also, do you see that little lip on there? Do you see how we have a little lip? Okay, I think you can see it there if I hold it just right. That lip is in 1mm, so we need a second profile that's just basically this one again, but 1mm shorter. And then we have a third profile, which is the entire inside diameter. So I have inside of the whole box, outside of the lip, and then outside of the whole box. So I need this profile 3 times. I have it once. How many more times do I need it? I need it 2 more times. Now I could come in and just draw the whole thing again, a little bit smaller, but there is an easier way to do it. We come under sketch. We're going to learn something new here. We use the offset tool, so we get offset. Now what it wants is, if you look at this dialog box, it says select what you want to offset. Well, I want to offset this profile. You see when I point at it, it selects the whole circumference. So I click on it, and then it guesses, I bet he wants one 1mm bigger. I don't want one 1mm bigger, I want one 1mm shorter, which would be, instead of 1mm offset, it would be -1mm offset. Click enter, boom, look at that. So that is kind of like what would be the outside of, that would be the outside of that lip. Now what do I need? I need the inside. That's offset another millimeter. Important tip. You would be tempted to say offset from the offset another 1mm, but don't. It's good practice. Always go back to the original and offset from that. So you don't want to offset from an offset from an offset. So we would want to offset from this original again and offset 2mm. So what do? We come in and we offset. We select this, and then what do we want to come in this time? -2. -2. Boom. And so we now have the profile that we need to build the bottom part. Okay, but what I'm going to tell you is that instead of jumping in and just starting to extrude this, why don't we think ahead? We need a top and a bottom. The profile of the bottom is going to be the same profile. You have the outside, the inside of the lip, and then the inside of the whole thing. So we basically want a copy of this. So I'm going to show you how to copy and paste. Okay, I'm going to show you how to copy and paste. We are always mindful of what? We are mindful of position and dimension. I have all the dimensions, but I need to think ahead that I'm going to have to put this somewhere. So I need to give myself a point to align to. How do we get an alignment point? The line is your friend. I click on L for line. Okay. I then come and I come to the origin. I click, and then I come out here and I click again. What do I need to do? I need to click the check mark to tell it I'm done drawing a line. Now I need to click D to dimension that. D, I want to dimension this, and I think I want to come out about 52. Okay, so I'm going to click again, and I'm going to say 52. All right, and then that looks pretty good. So I want another one of these with the corner right here. And then also what I have to remember on my line, that line right now is a physical line. It's like a real object. It's like a string. It's like an item in my drawing. I don't want it to be an item in my drawing. I just want it to be a guide point or a navigation point or a construction point. So how do I change that? I get the selection tool. I come down here. I right mouse click. and then I want to say it is a normal construction line. So now it makes it a dotted line, okay, and making it a dotted line means that it's not actually there. It is just giving me a marker that I can align to. Okay, how do we copy and paste? I'm going to zoom out and zoom in. I'm going to select the whole thing, click, drag, unclick. Now point at it and right mouse click. What do I want to do? I want to copy it. Now I have a copy. Okay, I'm going to click off of it. Now what do I want to do? Right mouse click. Now what do I want to do? I want to come down to paste and click. Now don't touch anything, because it has pasted the old one directly on top of it has pasted the new one directly on top of the old one. If you click off of this, you're going to have two that are so perfectly aligned you can never get them separated. So right now it's very important to move them. And you see it says, hey buddy, I gave it to you on top of the old one, but you better move it somewhere else. Where do you want to move it? Well, I can move it in a free move, I can move it in a translation, or I can move it in a point to point. Okay, I think that I will just move it in a translation, so I'm going to click translate, and do you see how it gives me these nice move it right and left or move it up and down? And so I'm going to move it like this, and then I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to move this out of the way, then I'm going to move it again, okay, and keep moving it. All right, and then it sometimes kind of gets away from you here, but don't worry, there we go. Okay, and now it looks like that I have this lined up with this. That looks like that is a great place to put that. Okay, let's see if I really got that. Okay, so now what you can see is I did not quite get that at the point that I wanted. Okay, and so I am going to select it again. I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to say move. Okay, I'm going to do a point to point move, and I want this point here to move to this point here. Boom. Now I have it exactly at that point, because I put that point there for a reason, and when I started doing that drag, you know, I kind of ended up with it in an arbitrary position, but now I have it exactly where I want it. I click OK. Alright, so now what I could do is I could come in and I could start doing my extrusions. But what I want you to see is, I want you to see kind of like, it would work that way, but we're learning about how to master the sketch level. So I'm going to show you a tip here. If I came in here and I said like 32, what's the problem? Now all of a sudden the base is not the same size as the top. Well, can you sort of see that you would really want the base and the top to be the same? And if I change this, you would want this to change. So you would really like these two things kind of tied together. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and put this at 42. Okay, and I am not going to do things the way that I just did them. I'm going to show you a better way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to delete it. All right, now I'm just back to my original one. What I want to show you is that we can select all of this. We can come under sketch and we can do a rectangular pattern. All right, this dialog box comes up. It says, hey buddy, how many do you want in the horizontal direction? Well, I want 2 in the horizontal direction. How far do you want to offset this? Well, I think I want to offset it by 52 millimeters. That would put it out, right, where I'd put this point right 52, this 52. I tell it 52 there. Now this is lined up with this, so it's just I'm being deliberate about position. And then it's saying, how many do you want in the vertical? Well, I only want 1 in the vertical because I want 1 here and 1 here. That's all I want. Okay, and now I click OK. All right, now what do I have? I have this one, and now I have this one. What do you notice about this one? It doesn't have any dimensions. Why? All the dimensions are tied to this one. So if I come over here and say 22, look at that. It changed both of them. If I come here and say 42, it changed both of them. What if I come in and say 12? Fixes both of them. What if I come in and say 32? fixes both of them. Now what's nice about that, if you save this file and later you come in and you want a different dimension, you just change that one dimension and everything else is going to change. Because if you see also, I set the outside dimensions to 4032. This inside one was not set as an absolute dimension, it was set as an offset from the outside one, so those changes propagate through in a way that you don't have to go in and redesign the whole thing. So this is very nice. Boom, we are where we need to be. I've got two profiles, one for the bottom and one for the top. What are we ready to do? We are ready to start extruding. And so how do we extrude? We come under here at Create, and then what we want is we want this Extrude tool. Okay, so now it is asking me, what do I want to extrude? Well, first of all, I want a little bit better angle to look at this. And so I want to orbit a little bit. I want to rotate a little bit. How do I do that? I get the Rotate tool, I click, I come over here, and I kind of rotate where I can see this. I like that. Now what I can do is I can right mouse click and say OK. Now I am back to my extrude menu. It was just like I ran over there to get a better view. So it wants me to select what I want to extrude. So I'm going to select this. Okay, how thick do I want that? I want to come in and say I want that's going to be the bottom thickness of my glasses holder. The bottom thickness I want to be 2 millimeters. Boom, there it is. Now what you can see is that, wow, I got that, but I lost my sketches. Where did they go? Come over here and look under sketches. You see the light bulb? It turned them off. We're going to turn them back on. So you see, again, this is one of those things you get lost. It's like my sketches disappeared and then you look for 3 hours for them. You can turn your sketches on and off. You can turn your bodies on and off. I'll leave the body on, okay, but I want to make sure that that sketch is on. So under sketches, I've got sketch 1. Okay, now what do I want to do? I'm going to finish this one and then I'll come and do this one, but I want to extrude this. Okay, so what do? I hit Create again, and then I want to select what I want to extrude. I'm going to zoom in to make sure that it gets it. Boom. I want to extrude that. That is the bottom part, and the inside of the bottom, if you look at this, is going to be 120. Okay, on my design it is 120, so I'm going to type in 120. Boom. Now let's scroll out. Okay, now look at that. That is 120. That looks great. Now this inside one isn't 120, it's just, this outside one is not 120, it's just 100. And so the outside's like this, the inside's 120, that creates that lip. Okay, so I click on that, I say extrude, and that one is going to be 100. Enter. Alright, so now let's back off. Let's back off and look at that. You see, I have that and I have that. So you can see now why I needed all three profiles. This is the inside, this is the lip, and this is the outside. And there we have it, the whole thing. And now I'm going to rotate around a little bit, kind of take a look at it. Look at that. That is very nice. Now you see, sometimes you can kind of get lost rotating and then have trouble getting it back. If you ever do that, come up here, and if you just click the little home thing, it gives you a nice 3D perspective. Now what do I want to do? I want to sketch some more. So I come back here, and then I'm going to click on this, and then what do I want to do? I want to extrude. So I come up to my Create and go to Extrude. And then I come here, how thick was this supposed to be? This is supposed to be 2. So I say distance is 2. Enter. Look at that. Now, if we look at my design, I'm designing now the top part. Now, I could extrude, if you look at this, I could extrude this, or I could extrude this. The problem is, if I extrude this, then it's going to be very hard for me to extrude this because I've hidden it. So I want to go ahead and extrude this. And in this one, if you look at it, that is going to come down. That is going to come down on the inside just 20. So this one's going to come up 20, and this one's going to come up 40, and that's going to create that 20 lip again. So this one I click on, and I click Create, Extrude, And how far do I want that to come up? I want it to come up 20, enter. Okay, look at that. And then this one, select it. I'm going to just click extrude here. And then how far did we want that one to come up? 40, enter. Oh man, look at that. So I'm using the scroll wheel to scroll in and out. I think I'll go over here, down here, and look at that. I'm going to use the orbit tool to kind of look down in it. Man, that looks just beautiful. That looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's come back to our home view to get it like that. Now, really you can see that right now we would be ready to print. We could just take this and send it to the printer, but we want to learn a little bit here. And one of the things I want to show you is, what if you made this and then wanted it to be a different dimension? Where would you go back to? You would go back to Sketch. And so what you can do here is you can just come in and say sketch like a rectangle, and then again go to that plane that you were on. And no, that's not really a good way to do it, because what did I just do? I just created a new sketch plane. And so let me see if I can turn this off, select this. Man, that sketch plane, oh okay, I'm sorry, I got to get out of it first. So stop sketch, I come here, and I should be able to delete it. Okay, so now I deleted that sketch plane. That was really kind of sloppy what I just did. And so let's come here and let's choose this, and then let's go to top. Okay, and now we are looking at our sketch plane. And now if I come in and I say sketch a rectangle, 2-point rectangle, now it takes me back to my sketch view. So I don't really want to make a rectangle, but I'm just trying to get back into this sketch thing without creating a new sketch. And that's the mistake I made the first time I created a new sketch, as opposed to just coming back to this one. But now we are back here. What if we wanted to change this? Okay, what if we wanted to change this? I could say select, and I could come in and say I want this 36, enter. And then I want this 22, enter. Do you see what it did? When I changed the outside one, it changed it's still offset, but now it's offset from 36. It's still offset, but it's offset from 36. And then all of those changes propagated over here. So now if we go back and we look at, we close this, okay, stop sketch. We go back and we look at our bodies. Okay, and let's go back and look at home. And I think this is probably 2 bodies. Yeah, you see that's one body. That's the other one. So the light bulb is what you're looking at and what you're not looking at. So I have one sketch, but I have 2 bodies, and so they're treating the 2 bodies differently, which is okay. Do you see now how I have changed everything? And if you're using a tool that doesn't have this parametric capability, think of how everything depends on everything else. But because we designed this, being mindful in the sketch of our relationships with things, changing the dimensions was very, very simple, because we had them interrelated. Let's see if we can go back to sketch now without having that nonsense that we had a while ago. Okay, so what do we do? Let's just go to the top. Okay, and then I'm going to select this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of my tool, and then let's see if I just come in and select something. Okay, so let's say that I want to sketch a rectangle, 2-point rectangle, and now I am back here where I need to be. Okay, so that made those changes. I want to make it back to the original size. All right, so what do? I'm going to select, I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to say 42, enter. Okay, and then I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to say 32, enter. All right, and now I am back to my original shapes. Let's look and say stop sketch. Okay, and I want to make sure that you can see that the stop sketch is right here, or it's up there. So stop sketch. Okay, let's go back and let's rotate it around where we can see the bodies, and that looks really great. So how would I do, what would I do in order to print this? Well, I could come over here, and under File, I could say 3D Print, and then where do I want it to go to? Well, I'm going to send it to, I have this set up for high, and then I say send it to 3D print utility, the custom one that I want to send it to, I have pointed this by clicking on the folder. I pointed it to my Raise 3D printer software, which is Idea Maker. So at this point, I think all I need to do is just kind of select this, okay, and then I can come in and say okay, and then it sent that over there. You would need to select them both, and probably, let's see if we can figure out how to do this. Okay, let's see if we select them both, okay, and then we come over here to 3D print, okay, and then we have that going there, and then say okay, and boom, we end up in Idea Maker with the STL file in here. Let's kind of rotate it around a little bit. Let's make it big, and then let me see if I can rotate it around, and look at that. Okay, what else makes me really, really happy? It came in with no errors. All right, and that is the beauty and the elegance of Fusion 360. It really generates good surfaces. It generates real solid, and you notice that it came in correct. I do not even have to try to repair it or fix it or anything. It is ready to print. And so what I would do on the Raise 3D printer, I would hit connect, and then I would hit print, and I will do that, and I will come back in just a minute. So you guys just hang on, and I will be back in, well, for you it's going to be a second, but for me it's going to be several hours. Okay, okay, I am back, and I have printed this item out, and I will show it to you. So let's see if I can move this where you can see it a little better. We like the hand. We move the hand over here. Okay, and now what do I have? Look at that. I guess everything's backwards, but look at that. Just like it is. Just like it is. Boom. Nice fit. Congratulations, you have made your first design in Fusion 360. I told you that we were going to learn this, or we were going to die trying. What have we learned so far? We've learned that the battle is won or lost in the sketch level. You're going to win the battle or you're going to lose the battle at the sketch level, okay? And what you have got to do is you have got to be, let's see, you have got to be very, very careful. You have got to be very, very careful to work in that sketch level, and be very mindful of dimension, and be very mindful of position, and also think about the relationship between the different parts. Okay, what we've learned about so far is dimension and position. You win or lose the battle in the sketch level, in the 2D level. The other very important thing that we're going to learn in the next lesson is you win or lose the battle in not just position and not just dimension, but on constraints. And constraints are the reason that people just throw their hands up, hit their head against the wall, run from the room crying, fold up like a cheap lawn chair. But what we are going to do next lesson is we're going to learn how constraints work. And if you will learn how constraints work, you will love Fusion 360. It will be your friend. You will not get frustrated with it. But most of your problems in Fusion 360 or not understanding what the constraints mean. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope that you followed along with me. I hope that you are excited about working in Fusion 360. I would love hearing your comments below. If you like this video, think about giving us a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel. Share this with other people. All right, this is Paul McWhorter with toptechboy.com, and I will talk to you guys later.